Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
All right, everyone. Welcome. Hello. Greetings to another beautiful day in the markets, another beautiful day to trade. As always, my name is Michael Noss. We got Mitch cheating on us again over on another station, so he'll be back over as soon as that is done. And we're just going to hop into the market. We also got our buddy Steve joining us today. Really interesting day, obviously, yesterday. Massive pop. Still trying to get the voice fixed, but we'll see what happens there. And let's just pop into the charts without any further ado. We can pop in, click that button. So, yeah. So, in case you missed it, in case you were under a rock the whole time, massive bounce yesterday in the overall market. Huge move. Me and Mitch talked about this a little bit while we were trading. If you guys remember, right, we were here in the morning. We had this little undercut of this support zone that we drew, which was the low from a couple days ago, and then a big push up right after that, and really continued all day, right? By the time we left you guys, it was just dangling around here, I think, and then just grinded up into the closing almost at the high of the day. So it makes for this incredibly bullish candle right here. Not only that, if you go across the board, they all look like that. If you go QQQ, you can see gapped under, even though the Qs are still relatively weak to the overall market, they were able to recover extremely nicely. We have IWM that was able to do well. And most importantly for me, the RSP, or the equal weighted S&P 500, that did great, right? So the RSP being, again, equal weight is just showing that it's not, it doesn't matter about the Mag 7, right? The Mag 7 are going to move the SPY regardless. However, the average stock was up even by the time that we left, and then continued to ramp all day. So the average large cap stock did very well. So if your large cap stock didn't, might be something to look at. So yeah, very interesting day in the market yesterday, looking for some continuation there as well. Bitcoin I saw moving already today, was up a little bit after these two dojis in a row. So some indecision there. That's what doji candles just represent. Again, just means that the pushed up, pushed down, hanging out somewhere in the middle. So nice little, again, doji day back and forth action there, and then a push up after that. So good little action there as well. Not really much in the way of gappers when I was going through my gap scans this morning. So I can go through my list of what I'm watching here for kind of the gap fades. We have MLGO again. It worked yesterday. I've talked about it. Generally, this strategy, I don't trade these on too much, but I'm starting to do some pre-market trading, so we'll see how that goes. So J&J, I actually took right at this candle right here, so I'm already up a little bit on that one. If that pre-market trading starts to work out, maybe I start to rearrange my life a little bit to start trading a little bit earlier and be done a little bit earlier as well. But GameStop, it looks like it might be breaking down here. I really like this one because awful company that's, selling stock to its user base. So a little bit of any push up there, I want to look to maybe fade that. See on the 30-minute chart, we're right at this important level right here. And on the 2-minute chart, we're looking for a breakdown of VWAP, but that looks like it already happened. I've got all of my buying power tied up in this Johnson & Johnson trade right now. So working out, so I couldn't take anything there. XPEV up and holding. So this is a really great looking daily chart, to be honest. A nice pullback into this zone, and now it's bouncing. But again, it just showed up because it's doing a lot of pre-market volume. And then last but not least, Micron. So Micron, we're going to see if this one pops up a bit. This one is bouncing off of this level right here. So if we get a bit of a push up in the morning and sell. But to be honest, other than the Johnson & Johnson and maybe the MLGO, not like super jazzed about any of these. So this might be one of those days where I focus mostly on the market because there's just not a lot going on. Again, I'm learning more and more that this strategy may just be one of those that you trade around earnings, and then I need to come up with other strategies for non-earnings time. ITCC. Steph saying always the crazy guys here. Nice little push up on this one. This is going to be one of those, isn't it? Yeah, it's showing a $500 a share as its high. So reverse split, some sort of news yesterday, and then popping up today as well. Maybe I start adding these to the list and just taking them super small to test. So we'll add that one there as well. But, not a whole lot going on this morning. We go into the heat map and let's grab the pre-market, and you can kind of see why I think not really much is happening. So again, gray representing no movement. I'll make that, I can move me up there. There we go. Yeah, so gray showing less than 1% kind of in either direction in the pre-market. So if we take that off, we see still some moving a little bit, but again, not too much. Tesla up a bit, Apple down a bit. Nothing huge standing out. There's the Johnson & Johnson that's down 3%, but again, I'm in a long position looking to fade that move now. But if we keep the nothing moving on, you can see there's just not a lot going on. But I just heard a little ding, and I think that means we have one of our visitors while we wait for Mitch to stop cheating on us. Hey,
Hey,
Steve,
hey.
what's going on, man? What's going on?
Hey, just hanging out. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. You have a fun day yesterday? I know everyone's
A
all
little
jacked
bit.
up after yesterday.
It was pretty exciting, right? We finally got another nice move off the bottom. So, well, let's see how it goes. How you feeling on it overall?
I'm still in the everyone's going to wait for anything crazy to happen until tomorrow with this whole Liberation Day, right?
Yeah.
Got to remember, end of month and end of quarter. So it's that whole window dressing thing, right? Where people are, they're trying to move their portfolios around so that when they have to present to clients that they say they're in the right things and all that kind of jazz. So, I'm not taking too much onus on yesterday, but definitely the Bears got their absolute faces ripped. One thing that was, let's see if I can grab this here. I'm starting to do this when I'm doom scrolling in the middle of the night. I'm grabbing little tweets and stuff that I like. There was one here, see if I can find it. Was talking about how the CTAs, right? So the commodity trading guys are the most short equities than they've been in ages, which is very interesting to me because we know, if they're very short equities, then it's probably going to be a really good time to buy. Of course, it's not updating right now. Why would it be? Well,
it's interesting, right?
Did somebody call a bear?
There he is. There's my man.
Roar!
You're cheating on us again.
I came to hunt you down with all that bullishness in this chat here. What's going on, guys? How we doing? It doesn't look bueno, guys. It doesn't look bueno out there. But, of course, nice little bounce day yesterday. A little upset on my part because traded it a little bit too big and got stopped out on the first pullback there and missed that whole rally yesterday, even though I was on the right side. That just goes to show you guys, you can be on the right side and still misplay it, guys. And so the important part of that is the understanding of that, sometimes, it's, gas pedal, brake pedal kind of thing. And, you can see it. And then I saw it happening yesterday. I could see that transition coming in. And even I, that was trying to be a little bit protective on the longs, went for it. But I just went too much gas pedal, like double foot on the gas pedal, right? Mm-hmm. And in this environment, one thing that I've learned more and more is that when you're noticing the uncertainty, it's more about brake pedal. Wait till you feel that certainty back into the market. Wait till you feel it, right? And not even just the market itself, but when you start seeing your strategies working again, being more consistent, not just seeing this chop where if you took every single one of your occurrences of your strategy, you'd probably see that it's just complete chop, just like mess, right? And then so it's very hard to determine entry based on a criteria that's telling you to get in on a trade that you would have got in and just gotten chopped up 50 times, right? And so that's what I'm noticing more and more. And I think that these are the important learning moments for traders out there. So realize that you are going to go through these moments where your strategy is almost like, well, wait, I back tested this. I know it could do well. I know it's a this percent accuracy, but in this time it could be worse, right? And there's always going to be like these ups and downs. And that's why I talk so much about that the best day traders know the brake pedal, know the gas pedal, and they know how to use that when it's working. And a lot of that is just understanding your strategy and how it's working in the market. There's times when it's going to be very consistent, and there's times when it falls off. Why is it falling off? Well, the uncertainty in the volatility is dragging stocks left and right, left and right. So what happens is also with a heightened VIX, right, heightened volatility, a lot of stocks start to move with just the overall market. They almost get dragged, right? It's no longer their kind of move, their impacts, right, their catalyst. Now it's, well, even if I have a good setup, I had a good catalyst today, well, now the market's just dragging the stock down and things like that. So I think these are all learning lessons for those traders out there to really consider, hey, there's times when I need to say, hey, my strategy is just not working right now. My strategy works better in up environments when everyone's being excited, right? Maybe you're a buy the dip type of person, right? Like just that's your game. Buy strength on dips, right? Well, right now we're not seeing so many of these big breakouts, right? It's to buy those dips. So you stay on the sideline. That's the hardest part, is understanding when do I need to be on the sideline and when do I need to be gas pedal, brake pedal, right? So understanding that kind of dynamic is very important.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. It ties in very neatly to the webinar I did last week on trading volatility contraction patterns, which are excellent, but they're only for buying the dips in up markets, basically, right? Or buying the volatility contraction in upward trending markets. Because, like you said, otherwise they just get sold off, and it's so easy to hone in and get kind of tunnel vision on, oh, it's a nice pattern on the hourly chart or even on the daily chart sometimes. But if it doesn't align with the overall strategy, you just end up getting hosed. And I mean, like you're talking about a buy the dip strategy, right? If we're in a downward trending overall, then you're not really buying a dip, right? You're just buying the first of 7. So
and if anything in this environment, I feel like quick trades are making sense, even lowering the risk to return down towards like 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, because you're not getting those expansionary moves. And for someone like me, they trades on sometimes as little as, let's say I need 20 or 30% accuracy. These are the tougher times right now, because I'm not getting that big trend move where it just carries, right? And so that's the harder time for me. So I need to either adjust on strategy, do more scalping, look for 1-to-1s, and then trying to be more focused on high accuracy in this time versus low accuracy strategy. What's up, Michael? What you showing us here?
I got a chart actually that demonstrates this exact point. This is something I put together for a presentation I was doing for CNBC or Bloomberg or one of those guys, I forget. But essentially, the bottom is the S&P 500. The top is the average correlation of the stocks in the S&P 500 to the S&P 500, right? So essentially, if this line up here is low, that means stocks are moving on their own, right? They're not correlated to the overall market. If this line is high, that means every stock is just moving kind of lockstep with the market. And you can see the areas that I've highlighted, right? 2018, 2019, where we had those quick down moves, all of a sudden correlations spike. So, right, on 2020, correlations spike. During 2022, 2023, correlations spike. So obviously I did this at the beginning of the year before the pullback, but that number has then spiked again. So the idea is that this is just a very observable phenomenon that we can go back 100 years and you can test. As volatility goes up, correlation to the overall market also increases, right? So as volatility decreases, stocks move on their own. As volatility increases, so this is just a chart just to, if anyone is doubting that point, this just fully demonstrates, right? As things are selling off, especially these quick spikes down, you can see how quickly volatility or correlation goes up. So this is why in times of high volatility, most people just trade the market, because
and that makes sense. It makes sense, right? And then I think this is something to learn from. I think that traders got to take a look more and more at the current environment, right, and how dynamically that changes. If you can at least understand what type of strategies work in what current environments, that's just going to give you a nice little edge on the game, right? And I think that's what a lot of the traders start watching.
At the very least, if you struggle with that, what you do is you always trade multiple strategies, right? And then what you do is you balance those correctly. So, strategy, like what I was talking about with my AVWAP fade strategy, seems to work best during earnings seasons when there's those giant earning gaps in liquid names. Not working as much now that we're out of earnings season. So, generally speaking, what you want to do is you don't want to fully turn the strategy off or anything. You want to say, okay, there's not much that I'm excited about today. So I'll continue to take those trades with a small amount of risk and then work on other strategies. And then the more strategies you put together, the better. Because a well-rounded trader has, call it a playbook or whatever it is, has a basket of things that they do so that regardless of what's going on in the market, they have different strategies that are always working and that they're always firing off. So, one strategy may be underperforming or maybe losing money, but you're hoping that your other strategy is making money. And then if you manage risk correctly across the two, that other strategy is making enough. And that's how, you can look at like Ray Dalio is one of the ones who really made this idea famous with his all weather kind of trading philosophies. But yeah, multiple strategies and
playbook. I think I've heard that. I heard that mentioned before, right? I think I've heard that, right?
Term? I think I've heard it once or twice.
The great book, if anyone's looking, probably, that book's probably 15, 20 years old now. The Playbook by Mike Belfiore is a great book.
Yeah. And
20 years old.
And really where the phrase is coined from, right? That's where I coined it from. And I think that's the way to look at it in the morning. Everybody should have a playbook, and you should have different ways to play things, right? Like I talk about it in the tools in the tool belt, right? You can't just have one tool. It just can't work. Or if you do, well, then sometimes you're just going to have to be stuck and not doing the job, right?
Yeah,
and
when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Yeah, you can't, you can't hammer in every screw, right? So
you can try.
You can try, but trust me, you run into that concrete, it ain't gonna be fun. But I think the important part now is understanding that, guys. So let's get into today's market of how we can use that to trade, right? So today, I think it's a very fun day because it's that uncertainty type of day, but I think today's going to be a ping pong type of day. These are the days where I can tell you that it's hard to have certain strategies that just work out because I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth pulling today, right? The Bulls got a nice little move yesterday. The Bears still think they got it, right? And the Bulls are still a little bit in control because very little pullback from yesterday's close action. That's one thing that I'll be watching today, right? Can we get back to that closing action of yesterday? And so out the gates, that's one of the top watches for me to see if we just do a quick move up, because I think that makes the most sense. Still to hurt the Bears a little bit more, make them feel like, yes, if you didn't close your short yesterday and it still came back to you and you're thinking that today was going to be a gap down move, well, it's a very little kind of action there on the down move. And now you're seeing buying come back in, put pressure on the Bears. A lot of times that's the way I like to think about things, right? Like where are the traders running from and where are the traders running to? So that's what we should be looking at. And those give you a lot of the key levels to look at in the trading day. What are you guys watching? Any stock specific catalyst out there? But we'll go to that.
Next chart. I'm starting to save these as I'm doom scrolling at night and going through the daily chart book. I think is the Twitter feed for this is great.
Gotta have those good follows, guys. Those good follows.
CTA positioning. So these are commodity trading advisors. They're hedge funds, right? Alternative assets. Are the most short they've been since the bear market of 2023 here. So, and if you notice, every time they're this short, right, 2019, and that was near the bottom. 2016, that was near the bottom. 2020, and then again 2023 down there as well. So Generally speaking, these can make for good fades because these guys are trend followers, which means they're the most short at the bottom, they're the most long at the top. Doesn't mean that they lose money. It just means that when these things get to extremes, sometimes you can look to fade it. So 30 billion short. And of course, these are futures contracts. That's how they find these positioning. So massive short interest in the overall market going on right now. So everybody was expecting that breakdown to continue. Who knows? They might end up being right, but just means that if we start to move higher, we know that there is pretty massive fuel to the fire to push that up. And this, we talked about this a bit yesterday too, when I brought up some of the commitment of trader data, that a lot of people are short. So there's a very big short interest going on in the market right now. So again, makes me interested. I'm kind of with Mitch. I don't think we do much today, just because tomorrow we've got that Liberation Day craziness. So I would expect
Liberation Day.
But if that news comes in at all good, we just know, again, short interest just means fuel to the fire, right?
Well,
If they're right, they don't need to cover. But if they're wrong, that's massive short, $30 billion that people would need to cover if we get any kind of spike going into that day.
it sounds like some epic historical Spanish Day, Liberation Day. Let's go.
It'll be spicy for sure. I love you mentioning the high short interest. I think that could have largely contributed to yesterday's move, in a sense that like you're saying, if you're right, you stay in, but if you're not, you got to chase each other up, right, to get out of those trades. Right. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, and it kind of ties into having different tools in your tool belt, different plays in your playbook. It's really important to know when to trade mean reversion strategies and when to trade these trend following strategies. So
that's a part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So what's really on my radar is, okay, we have the binary event tomorrow, and what are we seeing into it? What's the price action like into this binary event? I think that it is very prudent. It often pays to look at the market in I'm not like a huge Max Payne believer, but I do think the market has a knack for seeking out that kind of whiplash action that really does tend to kind of screw over the most people possible and kind of efficiently collect that liquidity in any given range. So
Max Payne.
So Mitch, you're gonna love me. I've shifted bearish after the hard rejection of the January lows. I do think that we are due for another leg. I am not ready to shift back after 3 days of red. I do think that there is more pain, but I'm willing to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, honestly. Yeah. If I'm wrong, I think it will look like volatility crush on the tariff day that gets continued. I'm just not really convinced yet. I see a lot of targets lower. I see a lot of incentive to move the market lower from a macro and geopolitical kind of perspective. And the biggest thing for me is, let's really quickly look at the other sectors that are doing amazingly. We have XLU that's just chugging along here, very, very strong. Energy had a heck of a day yesterday. That was really impressive to me. We can zoom in a little bit and see just, it actually looks a lot better when you actually look at the underlying crude. That's very clean, a nice push there. We have, what else? Cigarette companies, other defensives like MO, Altria, Philip Morris, all having amazing days, basically trading at all-time highs. And of course, everybody's favorite, gold. So, I mean, what Michael and Mitch, what does it tell you guys when all of these defensive sectors, and I'll throw one more on that list, healthcare, when they're all having an amazing time, are you worried? I mean, it's a game of chicken, right? Who's wrong?
I think it is. And that's the hard part. I think it's very, it's going to be a hard thing to guess here. And I think that's what I've been looking at, is looking to see what happens with the guess, right? Because the uncertainty is coming out of play tomorrow, guys. And that's the one thing that I think that the bulls could have, right? And the caveat is, of course, is this and we'll say it again, is it they sell the rumor, buy the news event, right? Where essentially it's sell, because negativity is coming. And then once you have certainty, because you get answers tomorrow, not guesses, does that certainty bring enough bullish action? Because now I know what is coming, and there's not the next tariff mentioned coming after. And I think that that's what you need to be looking at. I think there's, of course, that's like the bull camp in buying tomorrow, right? And buying today, kind of rallying into that move. That could very much happen, but it's still going to be choppy. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it can be. So if anything, what I'm looking to see is what happens, not necessarily tomorrow, but then I'm looking down the line. I'm just looking to Thursday. I think Thursday is the key day for me. The key day where it's either going to be, yes, the Bulls did stick in there, and we'll see if they really take it Thursday, because it could be a takedown right after, right? And then that's the hard part, where if it could bounce back because it's a buy the news event, but that could be very short-lived. This trade right here is short-lived regardless of the fact, right? If you're doing it the opposite way too, buy the rumor and sell the news. It's usually very short-lived action on that. So let's see what happens. And usually as you get closer and closer to the news on both sides of this trade, it stops giving as much edge, right? So like if you're buying the rumor or selling the rumor, you need to do that usually way early ahead of the news, right? And so now the news is tomorrow, and we're getting more information even today. So it's getting to more of a certainty than the uncertainty.
No doubt. And the market loves certainty. That's often more important than the details, at least on a shorter time frame, I've found. They really like to know what's going on, and they can position and plan around that, that kind of thing. So one other thing I'd like to mention really quick before market opens is that options positioning and like gamma exposure, it seems to be indicating a pretty binary move tomorrow. And I mean, for me, whenever I trade like a PPI, I tend not to trade PPI or CPI days or FOMC days. But what I really like watching is the break of that candle, the daily candle that forms on those days, for the exact reason that you're talking about, the follow through, right? Because that's where you're going to see the actual trend stick. And how many times have we gotten, the seventh move the day after a CPI or something, and then that's what actually sticks, or an FOMC is probably a better example. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm watching.
I will just say my whole thing, I'm with Mitch that I think it's likely going to be a buy the news type event, and I don't think they're going to make it easy for the Bears because the sentiment is so bad. The shorts are so heavy. Everybody is betting against this market. If it turns out to be not nearly as bad as people think, I think it's going to be one of those rips. I'm kind of looking, this might be a hot take right here. Yesterday, to me, felt a lot like August 5th, right? Where if you go back to August 5th, we had the yen carry trade, a big gap down and just ripped off the open. And then look what happened after that. So again, everything, if he comes out tomorrow and says we're doing 100% tariffs on everything and everything's bad, then all bets are off. But that felt very August 5th to me yesterday, where there was no give back in the market at all, and we just ripped the thing into highs. So I just don't think they're going to make it easy for the Bears to get out. I don't think they're going to make it easy for the Bulls to get in, which would mean relentless kind of buying and a relentless bid. Again, all he has to do is say something that isn't awful for the market. Doesn't have to be great, just kind of like not the worst thing in the world.
Right. All right. Last thing here, guys, I wanted to ask the CMT guy here about this pattern and wondering if it's this pattern that we're seeing. What about a potentially piercing like bottoming here? So a piercing line bottom, right? And then that's on the daily. I think that's approachable here. So of course that needs to retrace 50% of that real kind of bearish day. And if you look here, to me, that's a nice little retrace of that bearish day, right? And so what we want to see now is a nice opening above the closing action of yesterday, right? And so we're looking to see like kind of what happens around that. And I'll be watching for that kind of reversal. Right. And just to keep it simple, guys, sometimes just looking at what I'm seeing and comparing it to a major pattern that's actually known for reversal signals. Right. So there you guys have a new pattern to look at, guys. The piercing line candlestick pattern.
Right. That and it's kind of like a kicker candle where it opens at the low and closes it at least towards the high, and that's a very, very valid sign for reversal. You know, that's something that you do like to see if you're looking for a trend change. I'm just not sure we're there at the cycle yet, but I'm so open to being wrong. I would love to get a nice stable dip to buy, but like Michael said, it's probably going to be a lockout rally type move.
All right, guys, I'm
you get
long
it.
here, riding a rally right into the move here, guys. Let's see if I can keep it going here, guys. I'm CSAI long here into a halt, I think. Let's see if I get halted here. Looks
of a
like the
move.
halt's coming in, and there it is, guys. Your boy jumped on the trade today. I was talking about it in the chat. I didn't want to be that kind of guy and ruin the conversation, but look right here, guys. Boom. Long there, 630, 300 shares, up about 124 right now. Just jumped on it, and man, it was fast. I've been looking at this trade all morning long, guys. I'll show you guys how it looked on here, but I can even show you guys when I went long here, just straight from the platform. But there it is, guys. This is one that I was watching in the morning. I even talked about it in the chat. I know the chat started seeing me take a look at this one. Been waiting to see if it would break six. This was a nice, like 15-minute looking chart, just holding. It went above 6 and then just started to hold here right before the open. Was looking for some volume to come in, and it came in right through that 6. I jumped up. I tried to get 620s, and it jumped to 630s, just showing you how quickly this went up there. Now into a halt at 672. We'll see what happens when it opens here.
Guys, something very notable is SPY is blooding out of the gate, but Q's look fine. So that's something to watch. There's already a very notable divergence. People are flooding into tech, so that seems like they're front running some bullish news tomorrow. I mean, very notable divergence.
Would tech be the most or the least affected by tariffs? I think they'd be the least effective, right?
Quite possible.
It's all about the material action there, though. So that's another thing to look at is so tariffs on materials is going to be something to be watching for. So basic materials is something to watch right now. I think it's something to look at. AU continuing gold yesterday, GLD, that recovery on 19. Man, I missed that trade, and it was an all-day type of move on GLD. But we'll see what happens there in gold trade. Still going to be watching to see when my trade opens up. CSAI going to be looking around. Probably if it can run for a little bit more, maybe we can just sell a little bit and then keep it running here. We'll see what happens out there, guys. What are you seeing out there, Michael?
SPY about to make red to green move there. So sold off a little bit on the open, turned green. So the market's
there it is.
Q's incredibly strong. Wow.
I've got again the purple lines are just pre-market high, pre-market low. We're back above VWAP. Everything's looking pretty bullish here. So no trades to be had yet, but things are looking good. Things are looking positive.
I'll be watching VIX here as it starts to close the little gap that it opened up into the open, and see if it can lose that pre-market low and continue the smoke show. I want to see SPY take over that 558.12 handle that it swept above about 10 minutes before open. So yeah, interesting action here for sure. We have XLV leading the pack down. That is definitely risk on behavior, but as we say that, Q's posting a decent red, so I want to keep an eye on this. I generally don't like to trade the first half an hour, but it sure is fun to watch, isn't it, guys?
Especially I use this opening that you're trying to gauge, not so much for trades, but like you mentioned, you just gauge the open, right? You go, okay, what happened? How much are we bouncing at certain levels? What are we seeing there? Right? Are we going to hold this pre-market low, 2-day VWAPs right below? So the average price in the last 2 days, not getting anywhere near that. You could even go into, I know some people will look at like a 1-minute chart right off the open and just get a better gauge of what's going on here. Right? For me, it's at least the first 5 minutes. I need a 5-minute close for my strategy anyway.
It's an interesting day, guys, at the starting here. I'm still getting VIX to kind of move up here. Did the market move right back down? Let me see here.
Yeah, market's hit
right back down, right, guys. So
back in the middle of the range.
Ping pong. Watch the ping pong. That's the one thing that I'm mentioning beforehand that I'm looking for is ping pong action today. Why? I think today's the day where they're trying to trap retail to trade a lot right before a big event, right?
Yeah.
So just be careful with that action.
So
Looks like we're gonna get
MU
another attempt up here.
triggered here.
Big wicks on both sides could tell us ping pong action, just to put something in like,
Ooh.
hey, so look for that to see if it is that, right?
Well, I think we have
Looks
a
like
number
somebody-
too. Let me see.
looks like
Yeah, there's a
somebody dropped
number.
bombs
There's a
on the
number
table.
today. It's
Yeah,
nothing
red.
major.
ISM manufacturing, Jolts,
Yeah.
job openings, ISM PMI. So 3 numbers coming in at 10. And then we have one at 45 as well. So a lot of numbers in today and red. So again, if you go to, I'll grab this, right? Forex Factory classifies these and it's really good. There's like prop firms that will set rules even around trading these. So red means definite market moving event. It generally, when this number comes out, the market moves pretty significantly. Orange means the market moves a little bit, and then yellow means not so much at all. But the fact that you got an orange number and 2 big red numbers means that, again, you could just get this kind of chop and slop back and forth while the market tries to figure out a movement one way or another, right? So
yeah. I just want to note these big top wicks on the 1 minute candles so far. Somebody's dropping bombs.
Good Lord, guys. Guys, I look to the left there. I'm trying to look at the market, like to see what's moving up, what's moving down. My stock reopened and halted down in like 2 seconds.
Oh,
well, in MLGO, I got that. You guys saw on my screen
Oh,
that
man.
that alert came through MLGO and it halted down as well. So
Oh, man. That was a tough one right there, guys. That's a tough one.
dang.
That's a tough one just because I was literally looking left to you could literally see the screen. I was looking left, just trying to look at some trades for us, like oil trades, and gosh, Pepsi looking interesting today. But man, that was a tough one. What I am seeing Washington though is industrials and financials here a little bit. So here comes a little bit of the bleed. I think we undercut the lows and we approach back towards that kind of 15-minute resistance yesterday. Could be down towards like 555 levels. Seems to me like a nice little ping pong action. We'll see what happens. VIX trying to break the high.
Not only pre-market lows, that's pre-market lows and the 2-day VWAP, right? So, and we've seen that happen so much where we pull into the 2-day VWAP and bounce there. So I did end up taking MU to the short side.
Nice.
Take a second for this to load, but yeah, so that's the blue arrow trigger right there. Stop at high of the day. I'm very close to automating these in my big boy account, which is something I'll talk about, which would be great. But yes, the idea is a 1-to-1 here. But yeah, MLGO just broke through there. That triggered as well, but just no shot, right? I'm shorting something. By the time I saw it, it was 28, and the stop would have to go to 34. Like that's just too wild for me. So I have to take like 1 share in order for it to manage risk. So yeah, this ICCT was something that Steph was watching as well, waiting for this to potentially do that flush. Again, I don't have much luck with these little tiny guys. I like to stick to the more big liquid names. And then GME, which I talked about before you showed up, Mitch, off the open. I wanted to short right here, but I just didn't have the buying power. So
this is the 3rd significant top wick posting. Interesting to note. We'll see if that trend continues. Oh, we have Rally Cat. See if it plays out here. And shout out VSync Tim in the chat, in another chat, actually. This is not a turtleneck, but I appreciate the call out there.
All right, guys. We're live, guys. Smash the like out there if you guys are tuning in. Whether you guys are out on X or you guys are on YouTube, hit the like button, guys. Smash it up for us. All right, guys.
Just chopping around there in the market. Still just
LGO opened up there. It opened up down towards 26. We'll see if it recovers back. But for opening action, even went a little lower there. Trying to recover some and moving all around there. MLGO. I went on Trader TV and I talked about how that MLGO can come crashing right back down, just like also that IPO. You guys see that thing? That crazy IPO yesterday?
you're sounding a little bit in a fish oil or fishbowl right now, Mitch. I don't know what's going on.
No, fishbowl.
No, you better know.
Am I better?
What the Newsmax?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've intentionally not really talked about that because that's just a recipe for death for new traders to be. Look at that thing. It's got like I
Yeah,
think
man.
7 million in the float, and someone bought like 4 million of it right off the bat. So it's just only like 2-3 million outstanding. So it's just one of those.
I
It's
mean,
just
it's crazy. It's up there, guys. But I'll tell you one thing. Definitely on an eval account, this is a high flyer.
divorced from reality. That's for
AU
sure.
ripping, guys. AU strong out the gates there. Gold, gold. I love gold.
So
High bouncing, pretty nice.
yeah, not bad. Roblox, I don't know if we mentioned this. It looks like it's up pretty big on some Google news. They are partnering with Google to scale immersive advertising, whatever the heck that means. That's a name to watch. It's basing nicely over a key 60-90 level. You always love to see
Yeah.
it trading right against an old level you have on your charts. So keeping an eye on that one for sure. Shout out Tim on that.
What was that? What name was that with it?
Roblox.
On the BLX.
Oh, Roblox.
It's one of my old favorites. I've gotten skinned on it a few times, made great money a few times. Watching Spy post another top wick here. Couldn't clear the last
All
one.
right,
So
guys.
keep an eye on that.
I'm back
4
open.
minutes.
This is a hard one indeed, guys. I might get on another downhole here.
4 minutes till that
Oh,
first number. So we got the first number in 4 minutes, and then 15 minutes after that. And again, I
Oh.
don't no real
Hmm.
triggers for me.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
Well, other than that MU
15-minute
and then-
news release. I don't like those. Give me half hours so I can simplify things.
Yeah,
Too many data points.
yeah. MU is just chopping around here. So that's the only real trade. I had that J&J off the open, but that stopped out flat. I was in right here. I put a break-even stop and got out of that one. So short MU, but that's about it. Right, everything else we're just waiting for the market. So yeah, 4 minutes till not the major news. Final manufacturing PMI. That's not the big deal. The big deal is after that at 10. So that's the
One more
one that
name
we're
to
really
throw on
kicking.
our radar here is TIGR. It's a favorite of mine. So grain of salt. You know how sometimes we get clouded by some of our favorite stocks, but I think that it's setting up a nice flag. And there was a big change of character in the tape yesterday. Really strong push and a nice amount of flow, a nice risk reversal trade. People were putting on a ton of sold to open 8 puts for July, I believe, and buying a ton of 10 strike calls on April. So nice little flag there. It's looking a lot better than a lot of China names. It's trying to break out of the space and push higher. We'll see if it can, but it had really good earnings results, and it's a really quality name in terms of a nice balance of quality, but also really, really high beta, really growth. So it's a size small type trade for sure, and I'm in some of those 10 strike calls for April, but they are definitely gambles. So, not financial advice by any means, but something to keep an eye on.
CSAI, I'm still in it, guys. I'm in the battle here, guys. It hasn't halted on the second time. I did go in with an add and then a subtract to reduce risk. So that was actual good play. At least I feel like in my eyes to shorten the risk there. It took a $40 hit there instead of taking like hundreds of dollars of hits there. So we'll see if CSAI can bounce back here and get back above 6. So my entry now average is at 606, still with the 300. So I added and then subtracted as it bounced back there, just to make sure that at least the risk isn't as high. We'll see if it does go back above 6. I played some of these before that do this kind of halt up, halt down, and then go to halt up right through that level. So we'll see if we can get this rocket ride on CSAI here, guys. We'll see if we get this right back through that zone.
MLGO, another halt down. It's now down
Ooh.
30% from its
Can
highs.
the money transition to CSAI? I would not be upset. Market struggling here.
With these micro caps.
Spy back over VWAP.
Ping pong, guys. The ping pong action. It seems like it's playing in right now. At least that's what I see.
1 minute till the first number, and then we got 15 minutes for the market moving number.
Down, up, down, up, down. We're playing ping pong right here out the gates here, guys. Let's see what happens towards 10 a.m., 10:30.
So yeah, there's that first number out, but again, that's not the market moving number. It's the
10
one out at
a.m.
11. So or 10 a.m. Yeah, 11 my time.
Some beatdown mega caps with some nice relative
Yeah.
strength so far
Let's go to
today.
my boy's
Amazon,
chart
Google,
here.
Meta.
Let's see what my boy's looking at. What you looking at, man? What you
Oh,
got
you
here?
really cleaned up that chart. That's
Seeing-
nice
Look
to
at
see.
that. He
Look
cleaned
at
it
that.
up. He got all
Yeah.
profesh.
I'm working on
Like
it. I'm
that.
working on it. I'm learning from my buddies over here for sure. Nice relative strength on Amazon, Google, Meta is another one I'm watching. Big pushes here. Nice consolidation into continuation. I'm looking for the sweeps of these highs here. And if we pull back, we are pretty oversold here. Another name to just kind of watch the whole basket is MTUM. That's a really nice kicker candle. This did not play out. Let's delete that and pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
MLGO opened and halted immediately again, continuing its now 35% down from its highs.
That should have been the short look today, guys. Wow.
Yeah.
So we do have 3 significant bottom wicks on the 5-minute chart. Good to not get too myopic. I know I was mentioning top wicks on the 1, but that's the battle, right? The higher time frame always take precedence.
Yeah, I've taken the 1-minute chart, and even you guys were seeing me use the 2-minute chart a lot. I've taken all that completely off. 5 minutes the lowest. I'll go now. I just find myself too reactive to noise nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I only agree with smaller time frames and smaller names. When you look at the other ones, it can get you really quickly. Small names are just because you're looking for that quick move anyways. So,
man, Vic's just barcoding. Pick a side. Come on, man. We got money to make, boys.
yeah, that's how I feel right now.
Well, we got 3 market moving numbers coming up in 13 minutes. So
yeah,
could be one of those, right? We just hold off until then, and then we've got a big deal next week or tomorrow, right? So again, I'm with Mitch that today being a rest day could make perfect sense, and then tomorrow, whatever happens with this Liberation Day. Do we even know when the announcement of that is?
I
believe in the Rose Garden, but you got a time?
I think 3 p.m. I'm not 100% sure. 3 p.m. market time. So hopefully it's not late. We'll see. Nice expansion here. Let's see if they can close the candle above these wicks and get the expansion through this little pre-market swing high. Then the next target for me is up here. We also have a little gap that would like to be filled. Gaps do love being filled. I'm a little schizo in that regard. If I see a gap, my eyes go right to it.
Yeah, gap fills have been some of the plays that I've seen. Been like, man, here comes the SPY for the move, guys. There's the VIX down, right back down. So expect some chop here. And there it is. Now through that high there, could come back towards the 560 that I mentioned in the pre-market. I'm looking for going back towards kind of that closing action that you saw also in the pre-market. Let's see if it makes it straight to 560. Magnet.
Absolutely. And the big level for me to watch, if not today, then tomorrow, and is this this major range 51 fib or 50 fib. I'm gonna slap it on the daily really quick. It's from this August low that we were talking about, the yen carry trade debacle.
Yep.
And the swing high, that's the 50%. It was very responsive on this first bottom, trying to chop through it before popping and then rejecting the 200 and a few other things. So it's something to keep in mind for sure. That's where my eyes are going.
SPY grinding its way back to pre-market highs, trying to get there.
Yeah, let's see the back test, see if it holds. Definitely shows strength so far.
Yeah.
And on over average volume too, you like to see it, although we're trading over average volume all day so far on the 1 minute, the classic 1 minute.
So Johnson is looking to, it's got a long time to go, but this is really the only other setup. Grab this real quick.
That's a good one to look at, man. Good name. I think that will shake all this talc worry in a little bit. So it's going to be an interesting one on the daily pullback once the market gets strong again.
Well, yeah, so I'm watching this again. It's in the VWAP fade algo or VWAP fade list right here. So right back over VWAP, which is a long way to go. But now that it's flushed the pre-market lows, if it starts to recover and gets back through that VWAP, then that's what I'm interested in taking a look at. So that's the only one. XPEV, of course, I missed. I was looking elsewhere. That's why you got to automate these things. MU, This one, I'm just still in. Just nothing's happening, right? Stop at the high of the day, targeting the 2-day VWAP, just kind of letting it go. But need to see again that I don't expect the market to challenge the high or the low. We got another 10 minutes until this number. So until then, I think we're just kind of
Back
waiting.
in here, CSAI guys, taking another shot at it. 576 entry here, trying to risk off the bottoming action in the 560s. Needs to recover 6 with a quick move back up. Good sign would be if MLGO could get a little bounce there, but already in the green here. Gonna take a shot here to see if it goes right back to 6.
Healthy little pre-market swing high back test here. But Michael, I totally agree. I wouldn't expect it to challenge the highs or lows today. It would make complete sense going into a binary event after a big move of the day to post an inside candle. An inside bar is just when it trades, it doesn't break the high of the previous day, doesn't break the low of the previous day. It shows compression of volatility essentially. So I'm right there with you.
So of course the one I miss here with XPEV, there's the 2-day VWAP, tapping that right now. So that would have been a perfect trade from VWAP to VWAP. So kind of sad I missed that, but it is what it is. So now I just wait. The only idea I have now is Johnson & Johnson. If it triggers, great. If not, whatever. I got my MU, and that's about it. So again, at 9 minutes now, just warning for everyone. Again, if it was one big number, it might not be that big of a deal, but we have 2 big numbers and a medium number and a small number. So there's going to be a lot of algos fighting. Could make for a volatile but choppy kind of time there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Starting to get towards the 6 here for the break of CSAI. Let's see if it wants to do it. Can it break that 6 and get going again? I feel like it just ran into a heavy seller right out the gates on that halt. So I'm looking for it to see if it gets that momentum right back. If that same seller is willing to buy it back at 6. Essentially, he bought the open like I did, sold into that first halt because he had a good amount of sizing, right? And then after that, looking for the washout to then get back in. I'm looking to see if he gets back in here at 6. So that's going to be the key level to see if it goes back through. XLE holding in, XLF holding up, XLI holding up. SPY just slowly stair-stepping, but also creating a wick now on the 15-minute as you start to pull back a little bit. So
halted again, I think.
These micro caps, man, I'm getting heart palpitations just watching these charts. Whoa,
yeah, I'm going for it today.
It's stressful. I commend all of you warriors out there that are trading these things because I don't have the heart for it anymore.
Yeah,
here comes CSAI 610s. Let's go. Can we get to 7 today? Can we get some cash? I sure as heck needed at the last 2 days. So taking a little high flying action. I will tell you guys the funded account, at least the small boy, is not doing that great. So just got to keep the battle on and trying to get back into this and going back to the names that actually got me this account in the first place, and the small names. So let's see what happens today. Just got to battle.
Yeah, they were talking about it on Trader TV when I went on last Thursday. They said, if you're doing really well on a stock, you owe it to yourself to keep an eye on it the next day. You don't have to trade it, but it's doing yourself a disservice to not use the information you gathered on a previous chart, with recent price action, and see if your read is continuing to be correct. And maybe on the flip side, if you get skinned on one, maybe don't look at it for a day or two, maybe that's a me thing, but I don't like getting hurt twice in a row on the same name. It makes me a little salty.
Newsmax reopened up there, guys. It's at 130, almost 140, guys. It did hold on the downside, now coming back for maybe a potential uphold there. That thing's an absolute spread machine, 350 on the spread there. So it's pretty wide, but it's just wild, man.
Widowmaker, that thing.
Sometimes when you see this, though, this could be a telling sign of kind of like the dash for trash. So if MLGO is doing this and another name's doing this is just a telling sign that we could see multiple names do that type of move.
Speaking of a dash for trash, how's my buddy Carvana doing? Well, whole lot of nothing. All right, never mind. That's a fun name to watch for sentiment in garbage. maybe there's a narrative to be painted for them with the auto tariffs, but I'm not. That's above my pay grade. That's a name to watch, though. I know a few people in my server are keeping an eye on that for a long up to 220 or so, but we'll see how it goes. SPY is starting to reject the that little swing high just a little bit. Tried to flag out there and did pop a red candle, but I'm going to switch to my handy dandy 15-minute charts. And
Handy dandy notebook.
there you go. You got the reference. So yeah, posting a pretty big top wick. We have 4 minutes left. I'm also a big fan of 10-minute candles.
I'll tell you one thing. This child's trying to bank today, guys. Let's go, CSAI. Let's go. Let's
I got
go.
it up here.
Ding, 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 ding.
Spicy. I love it. I love it. Break the high, close over.
Drew highs there. Yeah, if it gets through that.
All right, I had to sell 100. I had to sell 100 for my own blood.
Good risk management. Well played. Well played. If it's
I had
going
to sell a little bit there. I had to sell a little bit just for my own blood there. And now I just put break even on this and I let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Now
MLGO
is halted
with the kids lately.
I watched Mufasa, man. That was actually pretty good.
Okay, right on. I'm behind on my Disney lore, but I hear there's some.
It was a lot better than Snow White, I'll tell you that.
I heard not so great things there. Where are my dwarfs at? Come on. Gotta have the dwarfs.
Let it go, CSAI. I want to see another rocket. Well, I'm seeing rockets in the market, so I'm taking a rocket ride, right?
There you go.
Like, you know what I mean? And I need this cash, guys. I need this cash. It's hard not to run to the cash too, right? Because I'm just seeing on the screen like 180s and it's just sitting there and I've already taken at least a good amount back, right? So I'm just looking for the continued rally through. Let's see if we get it. Remember, this is exactly where the seller came in. We want to get back above 15-minute resistance is right around the 680s. 7 is the next move. Pre-market or after hours had 747. So that's kind of like my top takeout look right now. If we really get going, I think we could get to that 750 range. And if you get to 750, with the way that stocks have been moving, MLGO, Newsmax, you could just start getting a flood of buying, a flood. Right?
MLGO halting up now after these are crazy. They got to do something about these halts, man. Just let them work, right? So MU starting to pay a little bit here.
Nice.
That's
nice gap below there.
They say the halts are for the traders, but we all know what the halts are for.
Oh, here comes a tinfoil hat thing.
Oh,
no, you know what the halter? Were you around during the flash crash? Were you trading during the great flash crash? I'll take the halts over that any day of the week. I was working in the hedge funds end. I was getting calls.
Oh, we're gonna have to hear that story. We're gonna have to hear that story. You see, that's better than my tinfoil water on the side of the bedroom kind of thing. But
there was actual people like jumping out of buildings and stuff during that flash crash. Like it was absolutely insanity. Yeah, well, we can chat about that. I'll bring up the squawk of it. It's just insane. The market going down like 20% in a couple minutes, then closing higher because some dude filled in an extra zero on his Bloomberg terminal. Like, yeah, I'll take a halt.
Fat
any
finger
day of the week after.
I'm gonna have a
stretch AU talking about fat finger. AU gold, baby, gold member playing it today, guys. I love gold.
You beat me to it, Mitch. It's such a great flick there, and such a great asset, right? I mean, in these times of uncertainty, just long gold has been working shockingly well.
Guys, all I gotta say is, oh, wrong guy. Eyes closed or not. I'm looking, but there she goes. There she goes.
1 minute
guys.
till the big market moving.
Boom! Look at that bad boy. 705 now, guys. Do we sell? No, I don't. We're not selling.
Yeah, we got 1 minute. 3 market moving events are pushing up, are going right here. So got the SPY open. Let's see. Remember, it's the 7th knee-jerk reaction that we're going to pay attention to.
7:15 now, guys.
First move here's down
Can
in
we
the
get an
markets.
uphold? All right, I'm coming to you, man. I'll be looking for those news items. You tell us the price action, and we'll see what's going on here. I'll hold on to my pants here and see if I can keep riding CSAI.
So
First move down, second move up. We are just right smack in the
All
middle.
right,
of the same
PMI
thing.
for March 50.2 versus 49.8. Prior 52.7. So a little bit slight move down. Not expected as much of a slowdown. So that's what you're seeing right there, guys. We'll see what happens out there. But definitely not a bad day there. Good action on that. That should cause up action. But I'm looking for the other numbers. Let's see if we get.
I have job openings here. Job openings 7.568
Go.
million, estimated 7.616 million. So nothing crazy, I don't think. Pretty in line.
And then there was one more. Manufacturing
ISM
prices.
manufacturing. I got that too. Let's see. ISM manufacturing employment index actual 4.47, forecast 4. I'm sorry, actual 44.7, forecast 47.3, previous 47.6.
So far, it was definitely market moving, but the market moved up and then it moved down and then it moved back up. So what we're on the third knee-jerk reaction, and it's the seventh that we care about. So
as I like to say, violently flat.
Yeah.
Not that violently, though. We're still in that previous range.
But
Here's
looks like
looking heavy, though.
Looking a little heavy. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's
So
the
there it
sweep
goes.
of that previous news candle low. Now we're looking at the low a day. And then we're looking at pre-market lows, which aren't too much further than that. So a nice little low liquidity run, so to speak, to sweep both sets of stops if they want to go for it. If they hold it, that is another sign that we can watch for.
Well, this is the only the fifth knee-jerk reaction.
Oh, good point.
MLGO opened a gap lower again. So gap up, gap down, gap up, gap down.
Oh, you guys, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Oh, I'm not
You
trading
can't
this
do it.
thing.
I'm over
Yeah,
here holding my
watching it.
breath. I'm over here holding my breath. I'm like, should I take it? Should I take it off at 7? This thing's riding up, man. I'm just watching the 9 EMA, guys. I'm gonna listen to my own wisdom that I talk about often, which is on a momentum runner, just watching the 9 EMA and trying to just hold off of that bad boy. Closes below that could be signs of concern. Another thing to use a MACD cross, making sure that that's happened, and maybe staying on a 15-minute cross where pullbacks can happen, but you want to see the momentum stay within the stock, right? So we'll see what happens on CSAI. Can it keep riding higher? Only one way to find out.
Absolutely. Mitch, as a fellow 9 EMA enjoyer, are you a 21 EMA enjoyer as well?
I actually just try to stick to the 50 after that, because I feel like I want some good separation between my short term and my middle term and then long term. So I use the 50 EMA. Some people use the SMA a lot. I have a tendency just leaning towards EMAs. I just want the recent data to be more important.
Nice, for sure, especially on the lower time frames. I'm a huge 200-minute moving average enjoyer. I will keep an eye on that as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I try to use those separation, right? It's kind of like like pullback levels. There's the 9, the 50, and the 200 that I use. And I just look at those levels as being something that's washing out in between. A lot of times I'll also look for 9 EMA pullbacks on the 15 as momentum goes up and comes back and reloads. Momentum comes up, reloads. That's how I got back into CSAI here. The only reason I got back into CSAI was because on the 15-minute, that was the 15-minute throwback look. And that's important to me. So like on a big break of a line, right, I'm looking to see if we go back to that line and approach it. And I rode the first trade that I should have been able to sell into the momentum, but seeing it come back into that spot here, reload off the support, and start to come back towards the 6 just gave me that feeling of a potential up move here. We'll see if we can get into another uphold. That's really what I'm looking for this thing to really become a rocket.
Yeah. So we are seeing that little initial pop up. It couldn't break the high of the previous candle, and now we're right on back down.
Ping pong, man. I wish I'd have been playing with you guys because seems like that's what we're going to be playing today. A little bit of a You get some. I get some. You get some. I get some. You get some. And it just makes sense, though, right? Because one of the things that the stock market wants to do right now, it needs to keep uncertainty in the charts. That's why it gave us a nice green day yesterday. So I could see us kind of going into a little bit of yesterday's range and maybe even closing right around here, right around 556, right? Right around an area where you're still worried on both sides.
Yeah, if you go to a 5-minute chart or 30-minute chart, that would just be a bull flag, right? Big push up, and then you get this sideways chop for the entire day, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher, and then just hanging out there. And then we wait for Liberation Day and see what actually happens.
Liberation.
So kind of bummed that they're doing it at the close and he's not doing it at the open. So really, it will be Thursday before the market really has time to kind of digest that. So definitely make sure.
That's why I think it's the big day. The fake out could happen on you tomorrow, and then the real moves on Thursday. That's why I'm bringing, of course, CMT. We're going back to Andrew Moss. Excited to bring him back on. And take a look into the market. And the reason why he gave me Wednesday or Thursday, I said, no. Majority of like the media would say, oh no, but come on Wednesday. It's tariff day. It's Liberation Day. No, we're bringing him Thursday to give us a real look into what he's seeing in the action, the true action that's happened. And I'm sure he'll have some great charts for us coming on Thursday, guys. So stick around.
So one name to watch is CoreWeave, CRWV. Options chain is opening today, and it is responding quite positively so far. Interesting to note.
There goes
the heck of a SPY taking a little header there.
Yeah, we're under.
Ooh, financials with the reckoning there. Financials falling fast there. That's where I see it. The VIX jumping there, 53.20s.
Oh wow.
No bueno. That's a jump right there, guys. That's a nice 60, 70 cent jump. That's what I see the VIX do all the time when it's making these type of runs. And that you can make money on that. It was about maybe a 25-cent risk there for a 70-cent pop. Right, that's not too bad on risk to return side for the VXX taking a nice move to the upside.
So there's the 2-day VWAP, right? We've seen this come into play a ton. So let's see if that ends up acting as support and we end up popping back through. My MU, just to update my
555 coming up
today.
Yeah, that's the level. You have a level in that area. I have just a prior 15-minute. Looking into the days prior, a lot of times we come into that 15-minute range, right? We want to test that 15-minute range. You can see it in the 32, right? We're going back to that level to test that level, right? And so I think it's an important one to watch here.
Yeah. So for me, again, it's the 2-day VWAP. So that's why I'm looking at that area.
For me, it's the very auspicious 555.55 number. I'm I'm a bit of a financial astrologer, so to speak. So I like
round it up
numbers.
I mean, I think it's clear as day, and I love when we do this where we're all looking in an area, right? And this is the fun part of technical analysis, guys. Is there's not one way of doing it, and you could still come up with a similar area. That's why support and resistance are never in one exact spot. Right, they're areas, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And I love that you bring that up because it's one of the most it's one of the coolest things where, I mean, oftentimes I have a lot of fundamental traders in my community, and we will arrive at the same targets using completely different systems. Like not even like some of them don't even like really care about charts, like 1/10 of what I do. So it really does show that there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak, and it's important to kind of absorb as much as you can, but also, I think it's totally fine to focus on your edge too, because if you see things in a certain way, that's it's quite often valid, even if it's not what the people around you are trading off of. A lot of ways to do this game.
Still riding this CSAI, guys. I'm going to try to ride it out here. The key is VWAP holding well. Held that pullback, looking for another rip above 680s. The 680s could be that push through the 7, going towards the next layer. We'll see what happens on CSAI. So, MLGO still in the halt, right? Yep, that's still in the halt.
Yeah, halted again for like the 5th time. So,
hey, is that Newsmax halted? Yeah, dude, look at that thing. 160 now.
So I'm seeing a Discord comment that I'd like your opinion on. He says, so if I'm reading this right regarding the manufacturing PMI, there are less job openings, less people quitting, less new orders, higher prices, and less people doing manufacturing jobs. Do you think that's a fair assessment, and why?
Yes,
why
yes, but the key difference is the expected look was even lower. So it was like they were throwing it in the trash, and it was right before the trash, right? Kind of thing, right? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And that's what I'll give you. So you're right on what you said. Yes, the trend is down. That's what the comment is saying. The trend is down. But that's why I brought the prior and the expectation. That's why I like to do that. The prior number tells you the trend, right? Where's the trend? The trend is still down, but it's not as negative. So if one thing that we've been seeing in all the numbers, even PCE is as a bear, right? I'll bring it in. Consumer spending was actually better than expected. So those are the caveats to the noise that's in the market right now. The noise is a lot on statistics expected to go down, not necessarily down, right? Like the revision of the FOMC down from GDP to 1.7, right? And so these are expectations. When they come above the bar, that helps the market. Right now, I think you're seeing the down action, and this is all based on what? It just needs to shake some of the bulls too. Like I expect we're going to be playing ping pong with the trades today. That's why I don't think trend trades are the best today, because you're going to get both actions. I don't think the market wants to choose a direction on a day like today when there's so much uncertainty tomorrow.
Yeah. And as I'm looking at the hourly, I'm still definitely entertaining the bear or bull flag idea, but it's starting to look like maybe we want to retest that bottom area of March lows again, and kind of carve out a double bottom if we're going to be doing such a up move that I see on my timeline, which also makes me a little sketchy, right? When everybody's not everybody, like Michael said, CTAs are definitely heavily net short, but I think a lot of people are have their eyes on that too and want to see that trend reverse. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's really interesting price action here.
I'll tell you the interesting price action. Of course, my stock over here trying to go for it again. Let's see if it goes for it, guys. CSAI now back into the 80s. This is the spot that I talked about for the recovery. You look on the 15-minute, I was watching this pullback, and I'm looking at starting to close above this, right? Starting to get towards these closing actions, the 690s. We need to see this 15-minute candle go green and take out the high there, 627. On a 5-minute, that's the way I'd look at it now. So hold the VWAP, strong pullback, looking for it to take out the high here. Let's see if it takes it through 7.
Let's get it, Money Mitch. I love to see it.
I keep bleeding.
I'd love to see it, man. These are the ones that actually ride, and I find them hard to ride out the rally. But right now, I need a good amount of cash, so it helps me to go for the push, right? This is the difference between, I think, having a brokered account and having a funded account that, to tell you the truth, if it goes to the red and it goes red, guess what? I don't owe a broker here in this case, right? I think this is one of the strongest advantages that Trade the Pool has to offer you guys, right? Yeah, I'm struggling right now. That's just the truth of the matter, right? But the truth is I can battle back with a little bit more confidence than how most would. And trust me, that's just how it is. When you have a small account and you're taking big bets, you always think, well, don't forget, you can owe a brokerage. And if you go into the red deep on the trade, yeah, they're going to cut you out. But sometimes they might be a little late to that cutout, and you might owe them some cash. So watch out there, guys. We'll see what happens. CSAI, can it go for another breakout here? Big part of it, also the MACD still working in my favor, right? I talk about RSI above 60s. We're right in that area, and we've gone to like about 80. So good sweet spot there. So I just want to bring multiple indicators to show you how you look for the continued move. Nice pullback on that. What? Low volume on that pullback there to 650, telling me that a lot of selling did not want to happen in the selling spot. Up here is expected high volume because that's profit taking. But down here, you're looking to see if some stops are getting activated. It's the opposite. Buying probably re-happening here towards the 7. We'll see if it takes out the high there, and holding the 9 EMA. Can just ride the trend higher. This is a good example trade to show you guys how you can ride one of these bad boys. Only thing is,
Nice.
there's never certainty. So you're going to always feel that, should I run to the cash? Should I run to the cash? Number one way to take that away is to pay yourself along the way, right? And so let's say if it pops towards like 8, yeah, I want to take some off and just keep riding it, ride it higher. It's not about taking all out at the top, because that is very hard to do. And one thing that can happen is the trade can come back on you on these small names. So you always got to remember that. Best way to do that is to always pay yourself and take some of that off the table.
Absolutely. So we are seeing some pretty systemic selling here, just heavy pressure. You saw it try to pop up there and just instantly bopping back on down. So, you know, people are definitely not interested in buying into this at this point, into potential tariff news. It's, you know, it's a mean reversion from, if you're looking at the 2-day range, it seems to be, to me in my bear suit, trend continuation down. You know, the news keeps on coming, and it is not great. As Rando mentioned, is he going to liberate us from freedom? I think a lot of people are a little bit worried. So, you know, we gotta keep an eye on the macro stuff and the geopolitical stuff. I know things are heating up in the Middle East. We have a third Russian ceasefire that's failed to go through. A lot of things in the world are a little bit suspicious. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. I would not be surprised to see a small bounce here and then see that kind of faded off and then trade up into close, maybe the second half of the day, just to get that kind of pin somewhere in the middle of the yesterday's range. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Can I get a little cup and handle?
Oh, there it is.
Can I get a little handle here? Can I get the handle?
I did see someone mention towards the beginning of the day before market opened, or right after, do we have a cup and handle forming? And I will use this opportunity to pitch my book a little bit. I'm going to be talking about. So this Thursday seminar is going to be on. Oh, thank you. It'll be on identifying the most successful Bulkowski patterns. I know there's a lot of people trading patterns. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And I will say that this cup and handle that we saw pre-market did invalidate when it lost, or at least I believe, I will be double checking my notes, but I believe it invalidated when it lost the 50% of the right wall of that cup. So look at that. So,
Catch my boy on Trader TV live, guys. He'll actually be live on the show and then running a webinar right here on this channel. Timing is at 4:30, right? Am I correct?
Let's see. I believe, 4:30 I will be on. 4:15 I will be on Trader TV, and then 4:30 I will be over here for Trade the Pool.
Guys, don't miss it. My man Steve, guys. And I love it. I love it because one of the things I like to bring most is I know how trading can be, guys. And there's always going to be guys in the chat that like my, energy, the way that I go about things. There's going to be people that love Michael Noss's side of things. And then there's going to be people that like Steve's side, right? The truth is, we're bringing you different personalities, different perspective, but a professional approach. That's what we want to do, guys. We want you guys to learn, right? Because that's the truth. And that's what we do this stream. That's why we're super transparent here. And that's what it's all about, guys. So it's good to see guys like Eldon come back. I know that he comes in back and forth, heading to work now, and a lot of you guys out there. So it's definitely good to see you guys. And like always, we're going to show different sides of trading and teach you guys different ways. Let's see if this down action can slow down here as the VIX taking a big push.
Took some profit, or took all profits in MU, so I'm out of that. So that was the one trade today. Again, nice. VWAP, Blue Arrow, 2-day VWAP. Just seeing a lot of kind of support in this area, so I just kind of punked out. Plus, it was just yesterday's close, so the gap is filled there on that one, so I took that one out. Then again, the SPY, just basing around here. The thing I'm looking at is there was a lot of action here yesterday. We had that fake out where we trapped a lot of the bears right off the open, and then we consolidated here as kind of the lunchtime play. So could be just a zone that we get to and start to chop around as the day kind of ticks along. And then again, the only other trade I'm looking for is Johnson & Johnson that's bouncing here, so it's got to get through 2-day VWAP. That's going to be a pretty wide stop, but just the math still works, right? Because your stop goes here, and then the target's the 2-day VWAP, and that's 2-ish risk reward. And then I'm actually still watching ICCT from Steph here just to see. He hasn't gotten that blue arrow sell just yet, but that's on a chart too. If I take that, I'll probably take like 100 shares just to, again, these lower float ones, they're crazy. So I just kind of want to like take them super small, give them their time, give them their room just to see, right? Because if there's going to be times that this strategy is going to be really slow like this, it just makes sense to maybe go to that crazier stuff that might be a little quick. But that's about it. Again, just like we talked about today, not right a whole lot of craziness in either direction, right? Yes, we're down 1%, but we were up huge yesterday. So, you know, looking at this is kind of in yesterday's range. We could take something here from our boy Steve and just do that 50% mark, which is sitting right here. So that's 50% of yesterday's range. Also the chop yesterday, right? Everything feels pretty chill out there, except MLGO. This thing, this thing is
a lot of things, but chill is not one of them.
Look, so just tried, and each of these are gaps. Probably better to look at this on a 1 minute chart, right? Yeah. So sell off, halt, open, halt, halt right here. Just avoided a halt right there, from $34 to $19. So we're almost cut in half here from the highs. Just insanity on these moves. Crazy action.
It's that one type of day. That's why I went trading elsewhere. But the VIX seems to be the spot now to 54, as we saw that breakout from 52.50s. Nice breakout on the VXX. So you're able to trade that. That's in a nice kind of rounding circle now. We'll see if it goes for the cup and handle pattern. That's why I think it'll just ping pong right back here, guys. So we made it down through that 555 spot to 554. Now starting to work back. So this is where I'd expect to see a little bit more of that ping-ponging action. Let's see if we ping-pong now back towards the middle of the chart.
Yeah, we found a little bit of buyers right in Michael's little zone of congestion yesterday. Makes complete sense. Love to see it. So we can see if that gets any follow-through there.
Now, just like we saw yesterday, the real question is if we get one of these moves yesterday where we have undercut the pre-market low, undercut 2-day VWAP, if we're trading back above VWAP on the SPY today, I'd be worried to be a bear in that scenario, just because, right, everyone's still kind of hyped up. Question always is, right, we got to remember the institutions, they're not buying breakouts. They just don't do it. They're buying dips. The question is where. So if a buy program flips on here, now that we're under pre-market low, 2-day VWAP, we know is a big deal, and we're sitting kind of right there right now. If they flip on a buy program here, again, it'd be a rough day to be a bear, that's for sure. And again, so we talk about relative strength, relative weakness a lot. And one of the reasons I took out the MU was just because it's almost looking relatively strong at this point, right? This is yesterday's close, and yeah, we were bleeding through it a little bit, but not by much compared to the SPY. So got a question on Square. Oh geez, XYZ. First of all, that's enough, guys. You've changed your name 3 times. It's enough. It's over. It's Square, Block, Cube, whatever you're going to call yourself. Just XYZ. I think he did it because there's all these textbooks, and like if you ever went to finance school, it's always ABC Corp and XYZ Corp. So he's probably just trying to get the piggyback off that. So I don't know. It's a good, you know, I know your kind of style swing trading, right? Is to get the little oversold. You're looking for a day or two bounce. It looks good for that. Just know you're fighting a pretty wicked trend there. So
yeah, with
the fact it was relatively weak. Yeah, relatively weak yesterday too, right? Everything ripped yesterday, and this didn't even close the gap. So that would have me a little bit worried as well. But nice looking hammer. Just one of those. Everything had a nice looking hammer yesterday. So I don't know if I'm too into that. But again, yeah, you got a pretty clear level. Again, I love these. I say it all the time. One of my ex-mentor called them basement window trades, right? If you're going to jump out the window, might as well be the basement window. You know, right where you're wrong.
What's with all the jumping out the window?
Go from there.
It's been red lately, Mitch. We gotta go with the trend to some extent or another. But
hey, everybody, lock those windows, all right?
Johnson,
all right, guys,
getting close there. SPY trying to put in a little bit of a
Yeah, it's a
Little
battle
bit of
type of day,
action.
guys. Battle type of day. We'll see what goes
Let's
on.
do
At
that.
least I could tell the Trader TV guys I pushed them in the right direction today. I said MLGO maybe coming down. I said, but don't forget, there's other ones out there. CSAI was one of those mentioned on Trader TV this morning. So and they should be happy about that one at least. I'm sure they're at least taking a look. The SPY coming right back though, right?
Back through.
The ping pong is here, guys. The ping pong is here. And one of the things that I'm seeing on the ping pong action, and if you see this on the kind of on the 1 minute, what's happening? So what we got was in the morning, we got a tightening of range. Now we're getting an expanding of range in between the ping pong action, right? And so now it's kind of just ping ponging and giving us higher highs and then lower lows, higher highs and lower lows. This tells me more and more just chop, right? Just chop, right? Just I want to hang out here. That's what the market's telling me. And it's a tough trade.
Well, just like, I remember when I'm beginning of the year, I was saying, listen, we had 2 back-to-back 20% years. Wouldn't be surprised for some choppy action this year. Same thing, right? We had a massive rip yesterday and everything was rallying. Like if you owned a stock that wasn't up yesterday, you really got to look at it hard because it's one of those, every stock was up yesterday. So it makes perfect sense that after a big move like that, you take a little bit of a rest. You take a little bit of a breather, especially with such a large market moving event on the horizon. You got to think that that's gonna be a pretty big deal there. So yeah, trying to. I don't expect it just to slice through here in one go, but trying to get back over pre-market low, trying to get back over the 2-day VWAP. So we got to just see, right? Give it 10, 15 minutes here, see if it holds above this zone. Again, back through VWAP, this thing could be a lot like yesterday. Undercut, get all the bears super riled up, say, oh, we're going to go back to lows. And then if we rip back through, it wouldn't be shocking to see pre-market high and challenge yesterday's high. But again, I'm still in the camp, like Steve was saying, just inside day, right? So it just means, so what that means is just this candle on the daily chart means I don't think we're going to break yesterday's high to any super extent, and I definitely don't think we're going to break yesterday's low to any crazy extent. I wouldn't be shocked if we're just right here when we close, a little bit higher, a little bit lower kind of thing.
And I'm just hanging out in CSAI.
Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes it's nice to be in those well, I was going to say low, I guess it is low beta, low correlation SPY trades, on days where there's not much going on in the market. Sometimes.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not worried about the market noise right now.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? And so we'll see what happens here. Can the ping pong ball get back to maybe the 200 moving average? I don't know. It's starting to ping pong down here a little bit, but I think you're just playing a little bit of that chop. Look how the VIX came back on the 15-minute. That's one area that I'll be watching to see if we break the 5250 again. So the VXX just pulling back a little bit there from 54 to 53s pretty quickly. So dollar move on that thing. It's moving fast. I'll tell you that much. Money to be made.
Yeah, the battle.
XLE getting red. XLP or XLF getting red. How's the XLP today? Hanging in there on the support, 81.51, and that just shows you more and more that it's not a rotation towards defensive names. It's just it's the ping pong action, guys.
Seems like de-risking across the board here.
Yeah.
All of my sectors are red, which is interesting. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, that's the danger station and not big red, and so choppy. Healthcare is where I see some more red action, like kind of a bigger drag. If I wanted to call out an area that's dragging today, it'd definitely be healthcare.
Yeah, that's got to be that Johnson & Johnson news, right? Like
I was just gonna say, yeah.
I don't think it's a Johnson & Johnson news, guys. I will say this, why, Michael? Because I've seen that Johnson & Johnson news, that same headline about the concerns with the talc come in and out of that stock for like the last 3 years. So I don't think that's that concern. So one thing that was mentioned, and it was mentioned by the Wall Street Journal, was that there wasn't going to be any pharma tariffs mentioned. Could this be a telling sign?
Well, there's a couple things.
I'll throw the rumor mill out there.
Really quick. So J&J is 7.5% of XLV.
That's
So
what I was going to say. It's
yeah,
just
it's
Just
math,
dragging
right?
it, just dragging it.
it's
Yeah.
the third biggest holding for sure. And the other thing is just head on a swivel in terms of pharma stuff. It's a little bit different, but biotech. Who was it? There was some key figure that was given an ultimatum, either resign or get canned, and I think he resigned. So that XBI was looking like just dire straits, and I wouldn't expect a big bounce there quite yet. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the Make America Healthy Again thing is quite playing out in terms of stock returns on these biotech companies, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that sector, and honestly, I'm kind of that's definitely potential. I'm seeing that Head and Shoulders that you're drawing there.
Yeah.
It's spooky. It's spooky, no doubt.
The best Head and Shoulders patterns are the ones that break up. Right?
Yeah,
You get a Head
they're
and Shoulders that reverses the failure of it. They're just they can just be amazing. But yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, there's no way that Johnson Johnson down 4% and being nearly 10% of the index is not pulling the rest. It's right. It's just one of those. That's the. We always talk about these index, but I always think it's important, and I always remind people they have to disclose the holdings on their website every single day, right? So you don't need to know, you don't need to guess what's in the XLV. It's Johnson & Johnson, right? And then the other thing is, if you've got TradingView, this is just one thing. This is the heat map, right? So you can just see, you can take by market cap. You can say, okay, yeah, Johnson & Johnson is a massive market cap in the XLV, and it's just down a bunch. So that, and then Lilly down a bit. That's kind of leading everything. Everything else is just kind of, whatever, up or down 1%, both in line with market movements. These two are really, really suffering, really kind of pulling the whole market down. And then when it comes to the rest of the sector, it's kind of mixed, right? We've got Microsoft up a bit, Google up a bit, Netflix down a bit, right? Walmart, Tesla doing really, really well. Where the rest of this kind of consumer durables, which is mainly car companies and cars and houses, those are down quite a bit. So it's a lot of slightly red, right? A lot of, it's not like one sector's really, really crazy and then the rest of them are doing okay. Just everything's kind of slightly red with just, you can see just pockets of green here and there. I haven't even looked at Tesla today.
Yeah, I wonder what the relative strength is. I wonder if people are just banking on some goodies for them.
There's this
wise.
It's a yellow event, so I didn't bring it up, but it's all day. It's Ward's total vehicle sales is supposed to come in at some point today. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it. You could look at, I guess, Ford and GM and some of these other guys, maybe. But I guess I just looked at it. It just kind of counts the amount of vehicles that are sold each year, I think. So that's coming up, and that's just that's an all-day thing. So I just don't know if it's like an event or if it's, I don't know, a conference or whatever it is. But yeah, so that could move some of these. But again, I'm very long Tesla, so I'm okay with the fact that it's outperforming the market today. The idea was just to go over it. Is I'm just marking, when it comes to relative strength, I'm just taking the March lows. If how far we are above the March lows is telling me how relatively strong your name is, right? Keeping it nice and simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So anything that is at or below those March lows, because that's the reason I'm anchoring there, is because the SPY is pretty much at those March lows, right? So anything that's well above that, it's relatively strong. Anything that's below that is relatively weak. And then I'm just kind of trying to buy the things that are holding above that zone and then selling the things that are not, right? So Palantir is one that I'm watching. It's a little bit above those March 2025 lows, but the anchored view out from high. So Tesla, I just took a kind of a shot yesterday as this thing started to push up here. I got a little trade on it here, sold out some, and then bought some here as well. Looking for, this is kind of more of a long-term play. If we can get above the anchored view app, see if it can get to high. So like doing that trading around a core to try to, help the mental, right? If I can make what I'm risking on the trade just by trading around it, then it'll make me feel a lot better just risking that March 2025 low.
Absolutely. Free rolling a trade early on in the trade is one of the best feelings in the world. You know, it takes the weight off your shoulders. It lets your idea cook. It really is one of the best feelings. Can't say it enough. Nice trade in there.
Yeah, I bought when I was talking yesterday with Mitch, right? I wasn't doing too much from the day trading point of view, but I was buying a lot of stocks.
Yeah.
And so I got
It was
like
a good day. It was a good day to ride it.
CRSR. That one's down a little bit. LEU. Right, it's not up insanely on them, but I bought a lot, and basically just because my system told me to, and then looking at what happened there on the SPY.
Is LEU, is that a uranium name?
I think so.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple months for the sector, but I'm still incredibly bullish on them long term. So I love it. Yeah,
Gold gave up its run there, guys. I will say that. And that could be a good name to maybe look for a little bit of some pullback action. Way too much gold talk lately, right? So watch for a later in the day break of that trend. One area that I think is very important to kind of keep an eye out right now, I'm watching the leisure space to see how much the destruction is going to be in there. UAL, DAL has been going down all day long. That was my mention on Trader TV. Watch out for the airlines and cruise lines coming on down. So DAL, UAL, really weak openings today. Expecting these to come out with guidance, lowering guidance. So that's the major concern. So it's a fundamental outlook also. And then for RCL, take a look at that chart. For me on the daily, that still looks like it's like a weird head and shoulders. It's like a head and shoulders is slanted to the downside. But the only way that I can see that is a head and shoulders. So I think this is looking like we could be coming through that 200 and a bigger breakdown after that bounce that we got, right? It's kind of like a dead cat bounce. We'll see what happens.
That'll be a good bellwether sector, I think, because they're just the clear leader on the way up. Another thing just to throw out there, devil's advocate, I have no feelings whatsoever, but I did see large Delta flow, DAL flow, bullish calls. I forget the strike, but I believe they were July calls, June calls maybe. So somebody's trying to fade you, Mitch.
I hear it.
Hope he gets smoked.
I hear it. No, it's all about the guidance. If we do get that lowered guidance, right, that will break us through a long-term trend in the industry. The industry's been on growth since the pandemic. I think in this point, it runs into a tough year, right? That's just the way that I see it. And so with that, valuation starts getting hit a little bit. And it's not that I don't like the cruise lines. Trust me, you guys know I'm all about the cruise lines, but it just seems to me like if we're looking for consumer spending to come down, these are the stocks that get hit the most. Cyclical names, essentially. That's what I'd be looking for. Right now, CSAI on the brink of the breakout. Let's see if we get it there. But definitely watching for this name to see if we get the breakout there. Let's go. Let's see if this is the time for the 7 break here. If I see it on the 5 minutes, that's the rule of 3 coming into play, and then closing back above 7 is a big watch here. So we'll look to see if we get a close on a 5-minute basis above 7, a good sign. Here's 697s on the offer. Will they take it? Not much at 7 there, only 2,500 shares. There's not much, man. They could take it really quickly. Let's see what happens.
Nice expansion on SPY there. Looks like it is trying to carve out a lower low, fake breakdown there.
Rebound. The ping pong ball's coming back.
I'm looking to take some SPXL, right? If we just get closer, hopefully we don't go too much on this candle. 5-minute candle close here is what I'm looking to take a trade. And I'm also watching this ICCT that Steph gave us just to see, again, a 5-minute candle close below VWAP would trigger the blue arrow. Looked like that was going to happen. Maybe not here, but yeah, just looking to see a flush. And again, 2-day VWAP is 168. I don't think I would necessarily bet on that, but a little bit of a flush down would be nice on a trade like that. So
talk about
could happen.
Right? So what I'm seeing is it's interesting. We were talking about volatility compression, but so far today's price action has been seek and destroy range sweeping. You know, take out the new lows, new high, new low. Let's see if we get the new high. Let's keep the trend going. Still a lot of room to wiggle around in that previous day's candle, though.
The highest flyer of them all, Newsmax coming down, baby, coming down.
Yeah, halt Halt. This is one of those scary on the way downs, right? Where if you weren't right, these are Ponzi schemes, right? Playing these things, right? It's one of those. The only reason this is going up is because you're getting that bigger fool buying it at a higher price. As soon as that, as soon as the musical chair stops, sometimes these can just.
You got to be fast to get in a chair, baby.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's and same with MLGO. That was just an end this ICCT. Any chart that looks like this, right, this isn't a good company, right? This is just something that's just rallying.
Cha-ching. We got a breakout, baby. 750's coming up here, guys. Let's go. Here we go. 740s, 750s coming soon here. 750 break, and I'll definitely take some off here. This is the pre-market high. We're hitting it right now, guys. So just be careful for some profit taking to come in here.
Yeah, the candle close should be pretty telling.
All right, I'm getting a little bit anxious there. I took some profits there, guys. Had to pay myself along the way here, and I've been holding this for so long. Now I hold the final third for the bigger breakout, right? For the big boy move here. And what do? I set the stop towards 650s and let her go. Why 650s? I'm just going to use the VWAP and put it slightly below the VWAP, right? Just looking for it to expand away and give it the chance to break the pre-market high. Pre-market high 747. We just tapped it. Now we need to see volume come through that level as we go towards the breakout. You can see that right there. It's literally tapped it right on the knob. It went to 749. Now looking for the 750 break and continued breakout there. We'll look to see what happens, at least back in the green on the day, because I did take a hit on, of course, CSAI on the first down action, showing you that you can bounce back on a name like this. You just got to be able to just kind of play it there, right? I managed the down action. I actually even sized in, got out really quickly on a small bounce, and now I'm seeing the up action. We'll look to see if it holds the 9 EMA like I talked about. 9 EMA is what kept me in there on that whole side action.
Nice. And another great example of trading around a core position, right? It really does take the weight off your shoulders, as we saw live. So nice trading, guys.
Yeah, and not a bad name. Of course, Trader TV, we're coming towards there every Tuesday, guys. So catch us on there.
Every Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursdays.
Oh, really? Awesome.
I'm there in the morning, and then Michael, I think, is there on Mondays. But
Mondays and Fridays. Yeah,
you see, we're out there, guys. Come check us out.
Love to see it. They're good guys.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with those guys for.
Yeah, you've been on the set a couple times, right, Michael?
6, 7. Yeah, well, yeah, I've been on there probably 5, 6 times on set.
They're a little closer to you than they are to us, I think.
That's awesome.
They're good dudes. Good dudes.
No, they're definitely good dudes. So I would love to see Neil in action. I think Neil relates more to my trading style, so I like Neil. Some people like Sean, right? And I think that's the important part, guys, is find traders like you, right?
It's a wild set. They spent $4 million building out the set. It's
okay.
nuts.
Well, I'm trying to build out the set here, but not with that much. I will say that.
What are you talking about?
Speaking of
get
which,
Michael in here.
You guys are gonna have to say goodbye to my couch. That's I'm gonna have a nice setup for next week, so you'll have some fun stuff to look at that isn't a beige couch.
Love it, dude. I'm trying to expand too, man.
Green screen. You can put whatever you want back here. I can be
fancy. We're getting
Actually,
nice
here,
expansion on Spy here, getting that new high.
This guy Michael lives in the metaverse.
Let's do something. I could be at either of your guys' places if I want here. Look at this.
Either of our places. You see that? He's in the metaverse, man.
Oh yeah. It's the future is now, Mitch. The future is now.
He's buying fart coin, you know?
There we go.
Boy.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's in Steve land now.
You know, I got the coach. I got the coach back there.
He's just Steve now.
Oh geez.
Oh good lord.
Wow.
Good lord. He's taking over, guys.
That's a nice
There you
guitar,
go.
Michael. I think we have similar taste.
I gotta find that.
Oh
I
man.
gotta find my window. Yeah, I set that up because I was on CNBC and they yelled at me because what you see is actually the window behind me. But they're like, yeah, it washes out. You know, you should have light in front of you, not behind you, all that kind of stuff. They blew all that up. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just take a picture of the window and be good to go.
Yeah. It's green screens are tough, man. They're hard to deal with sometimes, you know, and you got to have a nice quality camera. That's the main thing. But hey,
Next up,
building
got the nice
setups
spike
too.
this week, so we're building on out.
Hey, got to keep it building, man. Just like I'm trying to keep it building on CSAI, trying to reload at 7 there. And that's how it goes a lot of the times, right? So a lot of times with these smaller names, you get these quick pullbacks to wash out the buyers on the quick move up, right? So back to 7 doesn't scare me here, right? And we'll see what happens. What do you got here?
Here's the blue arrow on ICCT.
There we go. I like it.
100 shares of it. So I'm short this tiny, and I just stopped right above there.
There's nothing wrong with it. I like the idea. If you look at the waves on this thing on the 15 minutes, how many waves are in this? Like if you just scroll back from yesterday's action, these are the charts I love, guys. So what do you see here, right? And this is important. I look for a lot of times 1, 2, 3, 4 waves up there, right? 4 kind of moves up higher, right? 4 moves down, 4 moves up. So a lot of times on that 4th move is when we see the stuff. It's the ABCD, right? And running into that D pattern and then just starting to pull back, right? We'll see what happens here, guys. It's a good area to look for the stuff to come in.
So I'm very curious to watch what SPY does here, just because we finally got the range sweep high. And, if we were playing max pain compression, I would expect to see this get faded a little bit. That'd be wild if we saw a new low, but hey, there's a lot of game left to be played. So let's see if we get the classic V here. Certainly trying, or if we get a no funsies allowed day and just everybody loses, or everybody wins if you're a fast trader like our guys on here. But
I'm looking for the undercut of the low on the VXX and then just coming right back.
Right, there's your 2-day VWAP again.
Yeah.
Right, comes in, little bleed below, back through the pre-market low. That's got to be the buy, right? So again, I think that's going to be setup 2. So setup 1 is just these AVWAP fades, right? They're doing okay. And especially, it seems like it's one of those things that automation and earning season is going to work. The next thing that I'm going to start trying is trying to figure out how to scan for stocks that are extended into that 2-day VWAP. Down multiple candles in a row into that 2-day VWAP. Look to take a shot there. Like MU didn't get quite there, but I'm glad I got out where I did.
Yeah.
XPEV, I missed this one, but that was the short right into 2-day VWAP bouncing now. So Johnson & Johnson, I'm still watching just to see if we get over VWAP, that will trigger the green arrow buy. Again, I bought this one here in the pre-market, but with the tiny buying power we have in the pre-market, when it came back, got me out flat here. Now I'm looking to get back in if we get back through this price. And again, targeting 2-day VWAP, which is like 5 points above. So you don't have to take it very big for 5 points to be pretty significant, pretty good for you.
VXX dip in there. We'll see if it gets to the pre-market low, 52.02. I'd like to see it go underneath 52 and then look to see if we get a ping pong action right back. That might bring the SPY closer towards like maybe 559s and then he comes right back. So I don't know. I could see the ping pong just continuing to play here.
You know what's not ping ponging, guys? Bonds.
What's that?
That's something to keep in mind here. So I mean, it does make sense. It tracks
GLT.
Into, it definitely tracks into potential shock and flight to safety if tomorrow doesn't bode well. So there's always different contingencies or different cohorts of traders, right? There's often bifurcation between the bond traders and equities traders. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and if the bonds traders are right to be buying into this. I tend to kind of believe they are, but I'm trying not to let my personal doomerisms color my trading too much. That's always something we got to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, what's important about the bond market is it's actually finally come back as a risk-on asset. It hasn't been for the last 5-6 years now, right? Where we're having, you just look, you take TLT and then you just overlay the SPY. These things have not been working the way the textbook said they did,
right,
for a very long time, and it's been hurting a lot of people. Where, right, when we had through here, we had bond selling and we had the SPY selling at the same time, all through this area. And then
Brutal.
finally now they're starting to converge again, where you're having, right, bonds go down when stocks kind of go up, and then bonds go up a bit when stocks go down. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. And that, I think that has a lot to just do with rates, right? Now that we know what the rate policy is, having the market crash and them raise rates that quickly, I think is what broke that correlation. But it looks like it might be back, at least for now.
All right, guys, considering to go for the ad and the continuation here. So let's see what happens on CSAI. What I'm looking to do is if I do take the ad from there, of course, it's break even and looking for the breakout above 7 here. So here's the 7 recovery. Now it can come in. I'm looking for the kind of the volume to see if we get some volume pickup here. We did get nice volume pullback. Very little volume on that pullback. So I don't think sellers have really came in here. Let's see if we can take 7 and really make a move here. So there's 709 on the offer. I'm looking for one more pullback to like 7 on the offer so that I can go ahead and take the ad.
Yeah, SPY's kind of chilling out. We're getting close to that kind of lunch hour-ish time, and we're at today's high. So it wouldn't surprise me if we spend another couple candles just kind of flirting with this area. Above there, you got pre-market high, which also lines up with yesterday's high as well, right? So, you know, both those zones are both those zones are very important. First, we got to get through today's high. Could happen. It's just one of those time of day mixed with how much we've pushed to get here. I certainly wouldn't bet short in this market right now. I think a bunch of bears probably got their face ripped off there again, just like they did yesterday. I mean, yesterday, everybody was all bared up again. You can see it in the data, which is what I love. I wish we had more data like that, right? Real time short float. Oh, I'd love that. I think there'd be so much money to be made if we got our act together instead of the short float reporting every 2 weeks. Having real-time data, like how we knew that every CTA in the world was short right now, like more so than really big bear markets. And we're only down, what, 6-7% or 7-8% on the SPY, and everyone's that bared up. It makes me very interested. Give me some of that crypto style real-time data. I'd love that. You can go and you can see like the real-time Bitcoin short.
So Qs went green. SPY's flirting with green.
Yep.
Starting to get that break move here.
Tiger pushing out of consolidation finally. Love to see it. Like to see continuation there after the little...
I stepped up. See if we go for the breakout. I'm going for the move, guys. So
sector's starting to flip green. XLI is about to go green. XLY is quite strong, up almost 1%. I guess that's probably off of Tesla. XLP went green. XLC is trying. It's close. XLK is trying.
XLY is a weird one.
Yeah, like it's such an interesting combination of names for sure. It's like, I don't know how to feel about it, but it makes more sense than Coca-Cola being in Nasdaq, right? Or is it Pepsi? I always forget.
There's the equal weight version. Yeah. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, is that XLY is 50% Amazon and Tesla. So it becomes really hard to look at it for any sort of like understanding of what's going on with the average consumer stock. If it's one of those things, RSPD, that's the one that I look at.
Oh, okay.
Problem is it's not liquid enough to like look at intraday. But this is the equal weight consumer discretionary stock. So this just again takes that insane weighting out of it. It's one of those. It's really hard when you're looking at these weights, which you have to, right? If you're looking at an ETF and you don't, I'm not saying you need to know the exact weight, but you don't have some rough weightings of what's in there.
Yeah.
You're just looking at a line on a chart, right? It's just a basket of stocks if you don't know what the basket of stocks are. But if anyone doesn't know, you take XLY, right? And I'll look at this chart for a second.
Oh, nice.
And then you'll look at TSLA. and Amazon, they're going to be the same chart, right? Just a combination of those two charts, which again doesn't make any sense to me. Like rebalance somewhat. I get it. You've classified these stocks and you're doing it based off market cap weighting, and there's really not too much else in the consumer discretionary sector. But yeah, so equal weight sectors or equal weight is I spend a lot of time going through the equal weights just because it gives you a better average of what's going on out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. XLY is so weird because you have other sectors that are very heavily weighted into very, few stocks like XLE, for example. But I mean, Chevron and Exxon are a much better kind of bellwether for the overall sector.
Right.
Than Amazon and Tesla.
Well, yeah, especially because, right, Amazon, 50% of their revenue comes from tech, Amazon Web Service. And then you've got Tesla where car company, tech company, whatever, right?
Who the heck knows?
So it's like, is that so I get it. So then you have like things like Harley Davidson, which are part of consumer discretionary, but they're like 0.1% of the index. So yeah, again, the beauty of them, they're not very liquid. They're not trading vehicles, but RSPD, and then there's RSP V or RSPY. There's one for consumer staples too. It's actually one of my favorite. I think I have it here. One of my favorite ratio charts, where you take the equal weight consumer discretionary and then you take the equal weight consumer staples.
Hey guys, I see a post in the chat that I just want to address before we get out of here. It's 10:56, guys. I'm still in this trade too. I'm trying to focus and also answer the questions. Noah, that's how much I care about your message there. I see that you said that I was trading on this platform, locked my trades on one company, didn't let me sell or buy. I think what you might have seen is a trading halt. What's called the trading halt. And maybe you don't know of a trading halt, so that's why you're a little bit confused on why it's going into a locked ordering box. But if it wasn't that case, then yeah, definitely reach out to us. Either way, we'll explain it. We'll take a look to see what ticket got blocked and things like that. On your platform, there's this little thing by the lockbox that shows you your event logs. You can click on that detail and that's going to pop out a window. Take a screenshot of that to send it over to us to let us know exactly what order you were doing and trying to commit at the timing. That will help us go ahead and give you the research needed to make you understand what happened there, Noah. Like always, no one's here trying to get against you or lock you out of any trade. It's all about what rules are on the market.
I think, unless I'm misreading it, sounds like that happened on a different platform, and he's asking if that would happen on Trade the Pool.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the question itself, so I tried to address it as best. Maybe Steve understanding it a little bit better here, that it could happen on other platforms. It happens on every platform.
Yeah,
that's stocks halted. Yeah.
That's another thing that I was mentioning of how it's the market rules, not the trade the pool rules. So it would just happen on everywhere. Right. And the real key is that it's a certain amount of time that it's locked up.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about today with, like, if it was MLGO, if it was Newsmax, if it was any of those things, then right, that was the market. Like MLGO, I think was halted like 5-6 times today. Newsmax probably 1 million times. Right, if you're trading these things that move, what even CSAI that you were talking about, Mitch, you said that got halted a couple times this morning too. So,
yeah, 2 halts on that one. So we'll see what happens there, guys. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Not a bad day overall. I hope you guys enjoyed the action overall, walking away with the money bag today, and going to continue going over. We'll see what happens on CSAI if I'm able to cash in some more money. But overall, it wasn't a bad one. It was a money raining type of day, and we'll see what happens with Liberation Day tomorrow. Don't miss out, guys. It's going to be a crazy, crazy day. I can guarantee you that. We will be here along for the journey. So like always, guys, give thanks to Steve and Michael for joining us and continuing to push on our journey here. Any last words for the traders out there? I'll go to you, Steve, and then we'll end with Michael.
I would say just I would preach caution tomorrow. It's going to be wild. You don't have to chase, although it might work out. I can't advise getting too hasty. If you do trade, size small, and good luck out there.
Go all in and buy stocks. Buy as many stocks as you can. As with
all in.
As you can. All in.
All right, guys. I'll be watching to see what happens to the high flyer in CSAI. And like always, team, stay safe on those high flyers. It's all about understanding how you can play them, how you can manage them, and riding trends, right? Because that's what they are. They're trend trades. They're momentum trades. We'll see if I can hang in here. We're back above 7. My outlook, just to give perspective, is around 672. If I'm breaking that, I should get out, and I'll still get out into the green. I'm just looking for a little more cash. We'll see what happens. Find out tomorrow, Liberation Day. Will the markets continue? Michael, any last caveat?
No, have fun, guys.
Stay safe out there, traders. We'll see what happens.